welcome to The Tonight Show, everybody. You're here, you made it. This morning, the world's richest man, Elon Musk, was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Yep, Musk received the honor for his work in space exploration and after he bought 10 million subscriptions to Time Magazine. I'm kidding, although it was a little strange that everyone at Time drove into work today in a brand new Tesla. Being named Person of the Year is a big deal. It's basically sexiest man alive, but you're competing against the Dalai Lama and the Pope. It was actually a pretty competitive year. The other finalists were the scientist behind the COVID vaccine and the lawyer who appeared at a Zoom trial with a cat filter.
Can you hear me, Judge? I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
Some news from Washington today. President Biden signed an executive order aimed at improving customer experience for government services like renewing passports and filing taxes. Yeah. Now when you get audited, the IRS agent draws a little smiley face on your return. And this is nice. Now when you're on hold for 2 hours, instead of light jazz, they play even lighter jazz. Hey, I saw that former Vice President Mike Pence has been touring key election states like New Hampshire. A lot of people think that he could be gearing up for a presidential run in 2024. He's even been testing out some campaign slogans to see what people respond to. Check some of these out. First up, there's Pence 2024. I make Mitt Romney look like Post Malone. Next, there's Pence 2024. I call ketchup hot sauce. And finally, there's Pence 2024. One time I heard a Megan Thee Stallion song and fainted. I think that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mother! Oh, I heard that in a new documentary. Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed that back in the 90s, he worked as a cab driver to make ends meet. Yep, it was the only cab where you got in and the driver told you where you're going.
We're taking detour.
It was the last time Putin drove a car where the passenger wasn't in the trunk. Hey, this is cool. Listen. Wow. Listen to this. New FDA-approved eye drops just hit the market that provide better vision for up to 10 hours. And they can replace reading glasses for millions of Americans. Yeah, which means your dad will now walk around looking for the eye drops that are on the top of his head. Where did I put? You know, some guy's gonna be like, I bet if I use the whole bottle, I would see Mars. Now when you notice someone putting in eye drops, you can play the fun new game Reader or Stoner. It's cool, it's fun. Well, get this, authorities in New Zealand are investigating after one man apparently got 10 COVID vaccine shots on the same day and pretended to be a different person each time. If you ask what he got, he says, Johnson & Johnson and Johnson & Johnson and Johnson & Johnson. It was weird at his office holiday party when he was like, so how'd you guys feel after the 9th dose? That one kind of got me. You guys hear about this? A Michigan woman is currently facing up to 9 years in prison after she went to a fake website called Rent a Hitman and offered $5,000 to have her ex-husband killed. Yeah, you could tell she's nervous. Today, she logged into bribeajudge.org. Well, guys, this is big. Last night, the January 6th Commission revealed that during the Capitol riots, the White House Chief of Staff got texts pleading for Trump to calm things down from Fox News anchors and Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, Trump ignored the advice of the closest to him and also Don Jr. Trump was like, if I replied to every text that said, what you're doing is crazy, I'd never get anything done. Yeah, it came out that Fox News hosts were begging Trump to do something, and today Fox News hosts lit their tree on fire again just to change the subject. Trump didn't want to hear it. Not only did he ignore the texts from Fox News, he also dropped them from his family's cell phone plan. That's right, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was getting texts during the attack asking Trump to intervene. For example, Sean Hannity texted, and this is real, can he make a statement, ask people to leave the Capitol? Yep, that's not all Meadows received. Several other messages that day, too. For example, Eric Trump texted, head stuck in Capitol staircase railing, send help. Next up, Rudy Giuliani texted, just showed up at Capitol Total Landscaping. When's the rioting start? And finally, President Trump texted Meadows, just make sure they don't take away my Twitter. Yeah, crazy day all around. Crazy day all around. Some more news from Washington. The White House just announced their plan to add 500,000 charging stations for electric vehicles across the country. It's incredible. Somehow we can build 500,000 charging stations, but we can't add a second outlet at LaGuardia. Charge my phone, okay. You guys hear this? Today, the state of New York ordered former Governor Andrew Cuomo to return the $5 million he received from his book on leadership during the pandemic. I think it's safe to say that the drinking at the Cuomo family Christmas has already begun. Some business news after announcing their name change. Facebook paid a bank in South Dakota $60 million for the rights to their new name, Meta. It's making me emotional because seeing a bank get $60 million is what Christmas is all about. That's right, a bank, now they're so rich they don't even chain their pens to the table anymore. They just take them. That's a Mont Blanc. Just take it. I like how Facebook was trying to rename their company something cool, but it was already being used by a bank in South Dakota. Well, this is encouraging. I read that despite supply chain issues, UPS and Postal Service have improved their on-time deliveries compared to last year's holiday season. That's right. They now deliver that little slip that says, "Sorry we missed you," right on time. Right on time. I was here all day. I saw that LG has a new battery-powered TV that you can wheel around on a stand to watch anywhere. Yeah, a TV on wheels. It is perfect if you've ever dreamt of being a substitute teacher from 1997. And get this, Uber Eats just made its first ever delivery to space after a Japanese billionaire brought food from the app to astronauts on the International Space Station. Yeah, that's how tough the economy is right now. A billionaire is working for Uber Eats. Well, this is interesting. A new study found that rocket scientists and brain surgeons are not any smarter than the general population. It's got to be a great study to read right before you're wheeled in for brain surgery, right? It's like, what? Brain surgeons were like, you need to be super smart to know about the brain and all those little tubey things around it. And finally, a woman eating at a restaurant in New Orleans found a dozen pearls in an oyster that she ordered. The woman said she would probably sell the pearls when they passed in 6 to 8 hours. Today, Chinese President Xi Jinping met virtually with Russian President Vladimir Putin. They didn't talk even. They just spent an hour exchanging maniacal laughter. It's not great news for Biden. I mean, for Marvel fans, it's like if Spider-Man found out that Doc Ock was Zooming with the Green Goblin. I mean, something is happening. But they had a lot to discuss, like trade, nuclear arms, and why Carrie didn't call 911. At one point, Xi called Putin his old friend, and Putin called Xi his dear friend. Then they ended the call like, you hack us first. No, you hack us first. Oh, no, you hack us first. Some big news in Washington. The House voted to hold former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows in criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to cooperate with the January 6th panel. The consequences are severe. Meadows could be sentenced to a year in prison, or even worse, another month working for Trump. Of course, Meadows needs a good lawyer, so the first thing he did was pull up Rudy Giuliani's number and delete it. Some more news. The White House just announced that due to COVID concerns, instead of the traditional holiday parties, it's inviting guests to come see the decorations on a 30-minute self-guided tour. Which is just a fancy way of Biden saying, come if you want, but I ain't gonna be there. I ain't getting COVID. So guests can now go on a 30-minute self-guided tour of an old mansion. There's actually a name for that. It's called a haunted house. That's right, a self-guided tour of a historic Washington building. That's basically how Fox News describes January 6th. Listen to this. I heard that pharmacists across the country are feeling burned out due to increased demand for COVID shots and being short-staffed. Yeah, I'm sure it's that, and not just hearing the Chipmunks Christmas on loop for 2 months. It's like, I'm losing it, Gary. I'm losing it. I gotta get him a hula hoop. Get him a hula hoop. You know your pharmacist is stressed out when they disinfect your arm with the Bacardi from their flask. He's like, shot for you, shot for me, right? It's gotten so bad now when you order Xanax, the pharmacist says, We just ran out. Get this, in Canada, a 5-year-old is safe after he was caught driving his parents' car to go buy a Christmas present for his sister. The cop asked him to recite the alphabet backwards, and he was like, I haven't even learned it forwards. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble, so really his sister got the greatest gift of all. Meanwhile, the kid showed each officer a packet of Dunkaroos and said, how about we say this never happened? And finally, this is something you don't hear every day. Authorities in Ohio are investigating after someone stole a 58-foot bridge. Police say they're on the lookout for a thief who's described as having dark hair, blue eyes, and is the Hulk. Well, guys, one of the biggest movies of the year, Spider-Man: No Way Home, has finally hit theaters. Finally, fans are going nuts. People haven't been this pumped for a Marvel movie since the last one came out a week ago. Yep, everyone's excited to see it in theaters. Even Dr. Fauci was like, screw it, I gotta support this guy. He's wearing a mask. Let's go, I'm ready to go. Yep, as we speak, fans are lined up to see the movie, including plenty of guys dressed like Spider-Man who definitely can't pull off dressing like Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? In this movie, Spider-Man has to fight off a bunch of crazy villains at once, and after he does, he's immediately hired as a flight attendant for United. Speaking of airlines, in a Senate hearing, the CEOs of Southwest and American Airlines both questioned the need for masks on planes. Yep, the same thing actually happened last month with the CEO of Spirit and Pants. Yep, the Southwest CEO was like, who needs masks? There's plenty of fresh air. We fly with the top down. Buckle up, everybody! Speaking of wearing masks on planes, I heard about one passenger who tried to work around the rule. Listen to this.
A man is now banned from flying with United Airlines after deciding to mask up with a bright red thong.
If you fly Spirit, that's the oxygen mask that drops down in an emergency. Make sure to put it on yourself first, then the...
Dumps like a truck.
A few minutes later, an air marshal walked over and gave him a mouth wedgie. It was interesting. You guys see this? Former President Trump is really upset with his old chief of staff, Mark Meadows, for writing in his book that Trump's hair looked awful when he had COVID. It must have looked really bad, because that's how most people describe Trump's hair when he's healthy. Meanwhile, I read that this holiday season, Melania Trump is releasing her first NFT called Melania's Vision, which is a watercolor of her eyes. Donald was like, I'm so proud of you. Congrats on the nuft. Yep, Trump's excited about it. He thinks NFT stands for not filing taxes. The cool thing about Melania's NFT, just like she does with her husband, as soon as you turn away, the eyes roll. It's amazing. Hey, this is cool. In a recent interview, Usain Bolt said that playing Mario Kart helped him become an Olympic champion. I'm in shock, because apparently I've been training for the Olympics for the last 35 years. Well, get this. Here in New York, an MTA manager was caught with a blow-up doll in the front seat of his car. And he's insisting that he uses it for the company and not so that he can drive in the carpool lane. In a related story, he's lying. Guy was like, look, if you have a problem with this, talk to my lawyer. And then he blew up another doll. And finally, guys, Sing 2 is coming out next week. I mean, we're excited about this. It has such an amazing cast. And we wanted to do something fun with the actors, so we gave them a bunch of weird phrases and asked them to sneak those phrases into their interviews as casually as possible. No one knew we were doing this, so check it out. It's time for Drop It In.
Drop it in, drop it in, drop it in.
Obviously, everyone's gonna watch Sing 2 for Christmas. How do you guys plan on celebrating Christmas this year?
I'm just gonna eat a lot of food, I feel like, because, you know what they say, if you can't lick the spoon, just eat the bowl.
That's right.
Which of the following is not a marsupial? Kangaroo, koala, or platypus?
Koala.
Platypus have no pouches. They're the only egg-laying mammal.
Pouches, eggs, grape nuts, go nuts. Yeah.
I think it's also a movie about overcoming
your own personal obstacles, and I mean, even the Pringles guy gets lonely in January.
How many Sing stories do you want to tell? Like, have you thought of what you would write for Sing 3 or Sing 4?
It could be a Sing 3, Sing 4, Sing 5, Sing 6, Sing 7, Sing 8, yeah, Sing 9, Sing 10.
It'd be like the
Sing
Kids
11,
Bop version
Sing
of
12.
movies.
Yeah, I mean, you'd skip 13 because of,
Yeah, no, you
bad,
can never do
bad
13.
vibes. But no, I think otherwise it could go on forever.
So this was obviously during, like, filming during the pandemic, or did you guys get together at any point?
Ah, they're grape. As T the Tiger says. They're great.
That's sort of the fun of show business, and the hard part is, you get ready and then there's someone who can tell you no, and it's deflating. It's never a great idea to microwave a balloon, and I think that the beauty of this cast of characters is they don't stop.
In the film, Buster Moon has to tell a little white lie. I'm curious to know if you've ever had to exaggerate a special skill to either land a role or get ahead.
I never will tell a white lie, and that's something I learned when I once put a balloon inside of a microwave, and it's never a good idea to put a balloon in a microwave. I just have one last thing to say. Nunca es una buena idea poner un globo en el microondas. And that's something that is really important to remember.
Thank you for sharing that too with us.
That's what I'm talking. We are 1 week away from Christmas. Just 7 more days, just 8 more sleeps, and 900 more Hallmark movies. That's it, we're almost there. That's right, we're 1 week away from Christmas, or as the Panera gift cards at Walgreens call it, our time to shine. That's right, Christmas is just 7 days away, which means that you'll finish your chocolate advent calendar in 10 days ago. At this point, everyone's advent calendar is starting to look like an abandoned Motel 6. It's something sad. But you can tell the whole city is in the holiday spirit. I mean, right now, Times Square Elmo reeks of eggnog instead of vodka. And that's just Get this, guys. According to a new poll this year, a majority of people started their Christmas shopping before November. Mostly because nobody's known what month it is since March 2020. Let's go. I saw in a recent survey that most Americans would rather get an experience than a gift. Well, their partner's gonna be like, well, now you can enjoy the experience of owning socks. There you go. This is amazing. Experts predict that by the end of January, $120 billion worth of gifts will be returned. Yep, on Christmas morning, we exchanged presents, and on Christmas afternoon, we exchanged receipts. I read that this year's top toy gifts include the Magic Mixie's Magical Misting Cauldron and Wowie's Got to Glow Fairy Finder.
Ooh, nice. Did you get either one of those?
No, I ended up not going for Magic Misty's Magical Mystic Cauldron or Wowie's Got to Glow Fairy Finder. But I did consider getting the World of Wacky Wonder Wizard Worms.
Not the Nerdy Naughty Gnomes?
Well, I was tempted by the Enchanting Earl's Underwater Otter Oasis, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about picking up some charming Chucky Enchanted Choo-Choo Train Chomping Chimps.
Ooh, I love those. Well, those made by the same people who made the Toad one?
Talking about Twiggy the Trendy Twitter Toad or Tommy the Ticklish Texas Toad?
Either one.
They were both sold out.
Oh.
They only had talented tackies, tasteful tap dancing, tank diving turtle taxis. And the fabulously fancying, foaming, Fluffy the fantastic fighting French falcon.
Those are good options, but I also hear the best toy of the year is the...
Bow with the bada bang, da bang, diggy diggy, shake up the boogie. I'm trying the boogie dogs?
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard that too. Anyway, what are you getting your kids this year?
Gift card to Dunkin'.
Me too.
Oh my God!
Jimmy and Higgins run on Duncan.
Moving on. This is very funny. A woman in California got into the holiday spirit by turning her cubicle at work into a gingerbread house. This is real. Check this out. Oh. Yeah, it looks like one of those huts where mall Santas go to vape on their break. When they show around new employees, they're like, and that's Carol. She's a lot. She's... Yeah. Finally, I heard that this month Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You became the first holiday song to hit 1 billion streams on Spotify. Even more impressive, those are just streams from one CVS.
Hey, hey.